So I've been dancing my entire life since I was like 3 or 4. And I danced through high school, and I didn't know how important it was until I went through what I went through. And then suddenly words just didn't suffice. And there were no words. It took me 3 years after the fact to be able to speak about it, like I did in the film. And in the meantime, I danced about it. I turned to dance as my form of communication, and I see it now as something that turns an extremely ugly story into something really beautiful. And that way people will listen and watch and ultimately, hopefully, help. And the reason that it's a film now is because my father, who you saw in the film, is a filmmaker, and we wanted to collaborate and make something beautiful out of this ugly story.
Hi, my question is for Leah. Yes. What gave you the courage to tell this story in such a realistic way?
That's a good question. I ask myself that quite often. I think I didn't have a choice. I went through this thing and I came out on the other side, which is not something that everyone can say when they go through something like this. And I feel grateful for that. I'm so grateful for my parents because they are the ones who got me through it. And I feel like now I have this duty, in a way, to other survivors and just people in general who are at risk of something like this to happen to them. I feel like I have a duty to share my story and talk about it and bring it out of the depths that it's in right now. But honestly, I was terrified.
I don't blame you.
This was probably one of the scariest things I've ever had to do in my life. But I did it. And I'm at a loss for words for how this feels, but I think courage comes with time. It's been 3.5 years now. It takes time and it takes support, and I have that.
Hi, this is for each of you. Well, thank you, all of you, for sharing your stories. Just like snaps for that, all of you. But I have a question for each of you. What would you say influences your work the most, as far as the specialized work that you do? Do you have any one person or one event that's, as far as like the aspects of really what shaped certain parts of the joy that you get out of your work?
I kind of spoke on this when I talked about turning something ugly into beautiful. That's kind of become my mantra. But this is my first film, so I'm not going to talk about my film work because I have one. But dance work, and now and moving into the future, collaborative work with other mediums. I think I'm focusing on helping survivors survive. I've founded, you saw a little image of the Sunflower Project at the end of the film, and I founded that collaborative organization of sorts recently in light of this film, and we as artists collaborate in our different mediums and try to find a way to talk about this kind of thing, to tell everyone's story, to also educate people about what happens, because this is not talked about. As little as sexual assault and domestic violence are talked about, sexual assault and domestic violence between 2 peers in high school is really not talked about and very much shoved under the rug. And the more I've shared this with people, the more responses I've gotten from friends and close family members who have similar stories who have never told anybody. So I think that now is going to be the goal for probably the rest of my life is using art, specifically dance, now film, to educate, to prevent, and to help heal survivors. Yeah, so this is the premiere. I couldn't, yeah, yay. I did it, thank you. I could not eat all day today. I was nervous beyond belief. I don't get nervous for performances, but for this, very nervous. And still am, if you can't tell. So the plans for the film change every day. But in the grand scheme of things, I really want to work with high school students and with middle school students, because I know that if someone with a similar story had come up to me before I got involved with that guy, I can't say it would have prevented it, but I know it would have been different. And I need to be that person to go up to those young people and tell them about this and put it in their brains that maybe it's not okay for someone to be manipulative. Maybe it's not okay for someone to use sex to gain trust. And I ultimately want to be able to go into high schools and middle schools and show this film, and maybe perform the dance, which I've done a couple of times since then. Maybe do a conversation, a Q&A, maybe have my father speak. But I really want to share it with everyone, and that's really terrifying for me to say, but I know that that's what I want to do with it, because I think that people need to hear this stuff. People need to listen, and I was fortunate enough to be able to come out the other side and say it. So now I have a duty to make sure that while I'm saying it, people are listening.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carolina, Leah, Monica. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been such a pleasure to have you here. And big round of